This morning, Caleb Carr. Carr's first big hit came 30 years ago when he published The Alienist, a thriller about the hunt for a serial killer in the late 1800s, wrapped in a clever mix of fiction and history. Then he wrote a sequel, another bestseller. But 25 years ago, Carr walked away from most of it, buying a big piece of property in upstate New York so he could build a house and live alone in isolation. Or not, as it turns out. Carr found a companion for the journey, and his new book is called My Beloved Monster, Masha, the half-wild rescue cat who rescued me.
When you told the publisher or your agent you wanted to do this,
I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I was supposed to be doing something else.
Caleb Carr was supposed to be working on a third Alienist book, with good reason. The first one was a sensation and became a TV series.
What kind of dog could do such a thing?
The Alienist interweaved the fictional search for a serial killer with real history, when Teddy Roosevelt served as commissioner of the New York City Police Department.
My office tomorrow, or your badge on my desk, Captain Connor.
As you command, Mr. Roosevelt.
But instead of that new sequel, Carr was using his writing to work through his grief over the loss of his pet.
I was 9 months into it before, my editor called and said, okay, get down to your agent's office. We're all going to meet. And you're going to bring whatever you've been doing.
And they said what?
We all thought it was going to be a lawsuit.
A few months later, Carr delivered My Beloved Monster, Masha, the half-wild rescue cat who rescued me, which tells the story of Carr's connection with cats from an early age, when he was raised in a violent household in Greenwich Village. Carr's father, Lucian, was a key figure in the Beat generation and is credited with bringing together Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac. That's the three of them in this rare 1959 film. Carr, about 4 years old, can be seen with his mother and siblings.
Where's the press? Tell them Lucian Carr is innocent!
Lucian's friendship with Ginsberg was also the subject of the 2013 movie Kill Your Darlings.
Expression of self.
The true, uninhibited, uncensored expression of the self.
Carr says his father, who served 2 years in prison for manslaughter before Caleb was born, was an abusive alcoholic who often beat him and frequently pushed him down the stairs.
So I was up all night sort of observing what the adults were doing in this insane household of ours, and the cats were my companions there. And it quickly became apparent that our behaviors were so similar. Cats are very smart about knowing where they should be and where they shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And I tried to imitate that as much as I could. I failed most of the time, but I tried to. And they were the first things in the world who showed me the kind of just affection and attention that was absent, pretty much, from my world.
Carr never married and says he chose not to have children to break the chain of abuse. He moved away from all of it.
I was exhausted by New York by that point.
I bet.
It was a childhood fantasy of mine to own this valley, to build a big stone house. The implications are obvious. All the kind of permanence and gravitas that we had not had as kids. It was a hard house to look at and say, sure, I belong here. I mean, it's ridiculous in a lot of ways. But then she came, and literally, she walked in and she said, yeah, it's about right for me.
Yeah.
And that, watching her make it her home, really allowed me to make it my home.
She loved the stairs to nowhere.
Oh, she did love them. She could get up those stairs so fast in the beginning when she was pretty healthy. It really was like somebody was pouring gold up the stairs. This streak of golden white. It's just amazing.
My Beloved Monster is about Carr and Masha's life together, including Masha's encounter with a fisher. Even the time Carr says she successfully fended off a bear.
As different as this book is, from the first page I said, this is Caleb Carr.
In subject and treatment, I think it's very different from anything I've done but I suspect the voice is still there.
Absolutely. It's unmissable.
There still is a darkness there that's in everything I write.
Why were you able to establish a connection with a cat in a way that you could never establish with a person?
Trust. I mean, trust is the quick answer. I trusted cats. People, not so much.
This was the love story of your life.
You know, it's such a loaded thing to say. My cat of 17 years was the love of my life, except that it happens to be true. And that's the wonderful thing she used to do when I was in a lot of pain. She would lie in front of me and just roll over like that and just try to be as cute and comforting as possible.
We shot this interview last fall because Carr didn't know if he'd make it to the book's publication date. He shared with us, terminal cancer.
What is your diagnosis right now?
Not good. But I'm here. The danger with especially this kind of cancer is that you can go along pretty good for a long time and then the drop-off can be quick. Mm-hmm. But it certainly is, you know, I promised her for all the later years of her life, I would look at her and just say, while I was working, I would look at her and just say, Masha, someday I'm going to make you famous because you deserve to be a legend. And I would like, before we see each other again, I would like to know whether or not that happened.
He's about to find out if that's going to happen as My Beloved Monster is released this week. I mean, this is a bold move. To be working on this when everybody thought he was doing something else. Everybody was expecting something else. You talked to Caleb Carr, he said, I had no choice. I had to write this.
You know, and now we know cats, too, go to heaven.
There you go. Well, he says he's looking forward to them being reunited. So we thank Caleb Carr for the time and what is a very, as I said in the book, even though it's different than anything in the story, even though it's different than anything else he has written, it sounds like and it reads like other things he's written.
His voice is there. His voice is there, and never underestimate what an animal can do and what they can do for you.